Welcome one, welcome all. This is the second season of the WCS Europe Premier League. We're currently in the round of 32. We've got 10 players that have made it into the round of 16 so far. 2 more today will join them. I am Sean Apollo Clark, joined by James Colaris Carroll.
And the battle has already been going on for quite a while now, 2.5 weeks to be exact, as we have groups A, B, C, and D, as well as E, having concluded already. Today, we're going to have Group F, but next week will be the final couple of days of the round of 32, where we'll have Group G and H playing out across Tuesday and Wednesday, 6 p.m. Central European Summertime.
Now let's have a look at the players that have advanced so far into the round of 16. We had in Group A, MVP Tefel, followed by Stefano and MC. Then we had MMA, Mana, Hazirobs and Duck Duck. And then yesterday, we saw Welmu ace his group, going through in first place, followed very shortly by Liquid's Red.
Impressive results there from Welmu, upsetting a lot of predictions from people there. And moving on to the round of 16, certainly one to look out for, I think. That's
right. And now it's time to have a look at today's group. And who is playing today? We have LucifroN, Bly, Uza, the faceless void himself, and NaNiwa behind him.
Yeah, we have those two titans, LucifroN and NaNiwa, sitting atop the pile. And then Bly and Uza here, the challengers, trying to rise up to the heights of the other two. Uza, he's not really that well publicized in the online scene or in publications or anything like that. So it's he doesn't really have that many pictures anywhere. There's not really a whole lot of information about Uza. Yeah,
there's not too much out there today. It's his proving grounds to see what he's really worth today. But I think the story today is LucifroN being the clear favorite, but there's no secrets here today. NaNiwa is playing from Korea. He will have to deal with the issues from playing from server to server, and if he can break that barrier, if he can be that player to make his way through to the round of 16, I think it's a major accomplishment. But before we move on from this, let's just take a quick look at the group format and how things are going to shape up today.
Yeah, our second game will be Bly versus Uza, but we'll have LucifroN and NaNiwa first. Now, just to run you through the format of what is exactly going on here in dual tournament process. The upper bracket will begin, and we'll have those 2 series play out to the point where we find the winners, and those 2 winners will play for that first round of 16 spot. Then the losers from that first round will fall down to that lower bracket and compete for the privilege to play against the loser from the upper bracket for that second round of 16 spot.
And now it is time for the game that everybody has been waiting to see, the first game of the evening. It is, of course, going to be LucifroN versus NaNiwa, Spain versus Sweden.
What a game to open things up here. LucifroN, previously of Caronte, now of Mouse Sports, placing 6th place during WCS Season 1. And despite him being touted as one of the best foreigners currently in the Heart of the Swarm, he doesn't really have those results to back it up, I don't think.
He hasn't won a tournament. That's the thing where you can say NaNiwa has, Stefano has, and all these other great players. LucifroN's had some good results recently, but today, this season could be his season. He played very well last season, of course, but the thing to look at there, the DreamHack Summer Tournament just happened a couple of weeks ago. The eventual winner, Stardust, he only lost to 1 player, and I watched that series today. It was LucifroN, and it was one-sided. If LucifroN can bring those kind of performances, he can do anything. But today, his first game is going up against Alliance, the NaNiwa.
Yeah, Kingslayer, certainly a little bit in common here with him, as round of 16 finish in WCS Season 1. High-performing finishes as a European player internationally, and in the end, it comes to the point where NaNiwa is considered pretty much the top foreigner now, I think, in terms of his consistency of results right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's one player that will argue that point every single day of the week, and trust me, I know, and that is Stefano, but that's not his day right now. It is, of course, NaNiwa's day. I would go as far as to say, in Heart of the Swarm, NaNiwa is the best performing non-Korean player so far, with a 2nd place at DreamHack, a 3rd and 4th place at MLG just a couple of weeks back now. This guy is playing extraordinarily well, and he will go up against LucifroN, as we know, and we'll see if he can bring the tide, bring the storm, the thunder in this first game of the day. What are your thoughts upon this first game, then?
Well, it's certainly an interesting one to kick things off, not going to lie there. The thing is about NaNiwa's performances in recent tournaments, is that if you look at a lot of those results that he's got, it's been down to a lot of going up against Protosses, going up against Zergs. Whenever he's run up against a Terran, it's been a little bit more of a trial for him. So reflecting from that onto this game against LucifroN, who has a very good win percentage against Protoss, NaNiwa might have a bit of a tough time.
I think NaNiwa, he struggles against Terran players. He struggles against lesser-known Zerg players that he doesn't quite understand how they play. So this could be an interesting, turn for him here, going against LucifroN, who has incredible builds, fantastic macro, and the big thing, his control in big fights. Controlling those Vikings, controlling those Ghosts. He doesn't skip a beat. LucifroN is widely regarded as one of the best players in the European scene, of course, and this will be our first game of the evening. I'm personally very much so looking forward to this game, and it's just seconds away from beginning.
Yeah, certainly. This is going to be fantastic. Our first game is on Newkirk Precinct, TE to be exact. And now with that, we're just getting everyone loaded up and good to go as we jump into our first game. And spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner here as our blue Protoss, we have Alliance NaNiwa. And spawn down to the bottom left-hand corner as our red Terran, none other than Mao's LucifroN. Of
course, LucifroN, as you mentioned just a little bit before, changed teams recently from Cronte over to Mouse Sports, representing them super well in recent tournaments and whatnot, and really bringing Mouse Sports, I'd say, back up to one of the best teams now. They were always regarded as one of the best non-Korean teams as a whole. Then they took a couple of hits when they lost a couple of players like Thorzane, for example.
Definitely.
But now they're really back up there with the signings of LucifroN and Vortex. Those two together, you've seen in the Acer Team Story Cup, they beat people.
Yeah, they do. As one Redditor described, Korean kryptonite, and I mean, it certainly shows. They were able to, even when they were on Caronte, pretty much defeat the entirety of MVP, and then they did it again when they were on Mouse Sports. So very, very good performances from them. But likewise, NaNiwa, he's a bit of a Korean killer himself.
Oh boy, yes.
All of these tournaments he's been playing at recently, it's only really been NaNiwa that's stood up to those Koreans.
NaNiwa just performs so well in these big international tournaments, but now he has to conquer playing against LucifroN. As we look at LucifroN's build, already open for a Barracks and a Gas on 12 supply. He will be opening for a Reaper build here. Lots of different follow-ups here. The most common one, I feel, for LucifroN is to go Reaper and then follow shortly after getting his command center down with a second Gas and Hellbat drops. That's something LucifroN really, really likes to use to put the pressure onto his opponent. He even followed up with timings. But if we look at the style of both of these players, both of them very similar, micro-focused. Their builds are specifically designed to optimize everything that they can get from it. You know, whether it be micro, whether it be getting the right gas, the right minerals, the right units out at the right time. These two players are really just tip-top players.
Yeah, we're not going to see too much of a beat missed here in this first series between LucifroN and NaNiwa. And the thing is about Reaper openings on this map, it can be sometimes a little bit difficult to jump into your opponent's main. There's not a huge amount of cover, a room that you really have to actually jump in there. So if NaNiwa's on his toes, keeping cautious, then he could shut that down, but I think LucifroN should be able to skirt around it.
Look at NaNiwa. He's decided to throw a pylon just outside the main base of LucifroN. That Reaper is going to be used for a couple of things here. First of all, it's going to try to harass, right? And we do have a bit of a lag issue there, but it will get resolved very shortly here. But the Reaper is going to be used for harassment into the opponent's base. It's going to be for scouting inside the base, but also scouting where that pylon is.
Yep.
And that's something which could happen very shortly here. It really depends on where that Reaper goes. Does it initially scout around different bases to see if there's anything been hidden? Or is it going to go straight towards NaNiwa's base? Because NaNiwa has opened up here, and the Stargate will come down fast. Pretty fast, and we will have Oracle play come out from him. It just depends if LucifroN's going to see it early enough or not.
We shall see. As well, we already saw Thorzane playing very, very cautiously in yesterday's group. But now, LucifroN seemingly is going to bypass the entirety of this position and try and go straight over to the main. I think most Terran players are in the mind of just getting that Reaper over there as quickly as possible, trying to do some damage where they can.
But, you know, this isn't just an ordinary proxy Stargate. This is a fast proxy Stargate here. NaNiwa's cut probes to squeeze a Stalker out to prevent a Reaper or SCV from scouting around too much inside his base. But he should go in and say, why do you have so few probes? That's really low here. And all of a sudden, alarm bells are ringing. There's an engineering bay coming down already. This is the high-level play that we're seeing. That is super fast for an engineering bay. He's already calculated the likelihood of a Stargate being proxied is incredibly high. He hasn't even seen the third pilot, or the second pilot, should I say, inside the base. And it's a Void Ray. Ooh. A Void Ray, not an Oracle here.
Yeah, very little, a bit of a change up here. Now, Apollo, where does he go after this? Once the Void Ray has tried to go in there and do a little bit of damage, does he then go to a gateway follow-up?
I think well, the thing is, because he's got resources, it's very difficult to do that. He's looking to win with just the Stargate here. The thing is, does he build a second Void Ray, or does he build an Oracle? The Void Ray, remember, with its charge up, could probably bring down the turret quite fast, if not repaired on time. But it is going to be a second Void Ray. And this Reaper's, that's worth its weight in gold. He's already killed 2 probes, and we'll get a third and a fourth potentially. Yeah,
this is very, very good by this Reaper here. Just dancing around, trying to find even another kill there. So 3 kills on him thus far, with an extra probe going down at the very front. But the Void Ray is going to charge up on some of these, or just charge up in general, and actually kill off 1 and 2 of these Marines. We'll push him back for now. Good repairable here for LucifroN as well. He wants to keep his production high and tight to try and push off his Void Ray.
There's a second Void Ray, and probably a third one going to follow behind this. Remember, you can really only win with the Stargate.
Yeah.
3 Marines. That's all there is at this point. But versus 2 Void Rays. NaNiwa, is he going to open up this game with a win? He's going to bring down these Marines are going to die, Kalaris.
Yeah, they're going to get chased all the way around this base. There's no way they can actually do much else. He's trying to bring down that 1 Void Ray, but he doesn't even get it. Oh, just barely with that last Marine dying off. But now that second Void Ray, or third Void Ray even, very, very close to completion here. Throwing down missile turrets where he can to try and push this away. But killing off that reactor is a big blow there to LucifroN.
That's a big blow. That means only 1 Marine can be built at a time here, and that will fall very fast. This turret is never going to get up, and the Reaper continues its harassment. Does finally get picked off, though, with a second Void Ray about to join this turret. Does complete.
It's in an alright position to shut down a little bit of harassment on one of the barracks, but the other 2 and 3 barracks are actually under harassment once again here by the Void Ray. Very, very annoying position. 12 kills on this first Void Ray mean that he has no more units to really deal with this.
Remember, NaNiwa still at a very low probe count. He needs to win the game from this. There's double command centers, double mules. The 2 barracks complete. Another turret completes here.
Oh, pushing him away from the production once again.
He loses the Void Ray. That is so big. He can't afford to lose a Void Ray at this stage.
And the barracks going to fly away here. Burning down. The SCVs come out to try and repair it, but he's retreating into the path of the missile turret. The Void Ray gets pushed away once again. Another Void Ray does join. Void Ray number 4 along with Stalker number 1, but that's all he's going to have in terms of gateway units.
Imagine if he hadn't have even lost a Void Ray. He would have had 4, as you just said. He now only has 2, and 1 is very low. There are 3 barracks. There are 5 Marines now, with another 2 on the way. Time is running out here for NaNiwa. He's dropped down in supply. A couple of Marines trying to pick off that 1 Void Ray. Does do a little bit of damage to it, but the Marine count is increasing.
And NaNiwa here just trying to hold on for dear life. The 3rd Void Ray now out. 4th one on the way. But again, these Void Rays are taking a lot of damage as they poke on forwards. And with 3 barracks producing worth of Marines, if you can get that kind of churning and up and running, then he should be all right. He's even going for the armor.
And then the engineering bay has completed with +1. This makes things a lot more difficult to deal with. They're dealing more damage than they would do normally. A 4th Void Ray is now coming out. +1 armor is on the way too, with the factory being squeezed in to get to Medivacs. NaNiwa is, like I mentioned earlier, running out of time. This is becoming very, very difficult. If he's going to win, he needs to do it soon here. He can't go back to pro production. He can't expand from this position. He needs to win now, or he's not going to win at all.
And Void Ray still microing their hearts out here. NaNiwa knows the severity of this situation as he pulls back once again with the Void Rays. Void Ray number 4 for this group at least, now rendezvousing with the ones at the front. And that means that there is technically a lot of firepower there, but LucifroN is controlling his Marines well enough to try and just keep rising those numbers.
Yeah, I mean, he was at 5 a couple of minutes ago. He is losing them, but he's at 9 now. Stim is on its way. +1 armor's on its way. Yet, NaNiwa hasn't lost a Void Ray in quite a while now. He's up to 4 with a 5th coming down. The Mothership Core 2. He's going to be able to target down one of these barracks.
Oh, especially if he actually activated the charge there. The Marines poke forwards once again, killing off 1. Will they get a 2nd? 2! Just barely get it there in the end. And annoyingly for NaNiwa now, the Void Rays that he has positioned over to the left, it takes so long for any Void Rays extra to come along and continue helping these other ones because of the positioning of the missile turrets.
I think LucifroN's patience here is fantastic. A Void Ray goes right over top of turret with Marines popping out. He could lose it. Oh, he does. Great control by LucifroN to pick off that. A Widow Mine comes in, and that smacks down another Void Ray. And the 1 Void Ray left has 12 hit points and a little bit of shields.
not a good position for NaNiwa to be in right now.
Yeah, it's so smart for him to not go straight up to the starport first, but he got Widow Mines out to squeeze it underneath, locking out another area of his base. There is no detection. There's nothing to see that Widow Mine. It can actually fire again in a minute. And now he's kind of stuck at the back here.
And he's bringing another probe over to try and make something happen. Maybe, I don't know, try and throw a box pile down or try and go for something, but it doesn't really make any sense right now. As NaNiwa, this is still all his hopes, but with LucifroN as locked down as he is there really any way that NaNiwa can bring himself back in?
NaNiwa's trying right now. He's realized he can't just straight up win. So what his attempt is going to be is to try to kill off SCVs and try to reprobe up to get enough probes to maybe take an expansion. Maybe that's kind of the way he could play this out. But he can't even get to the turret line, to the SCV line. There's Widow Mines turrets. Very shortly, we have got 1-1 finish now. Combat Shields is going to be on its way. Stim is on its way.
And Sean, Warpgate has only just started in this game. At the 12-minute mark, he's only now just found the resources and the attention available to him to actually go for that. So any kind of bio push is going to be greeted by no gateway units.
Any bio push cannot be greeted at all. Like, these Void Rays will not withstand Stim, Combat Shields, and 1-1 upgrades. Time Warp comes down to maybe slow the Marines from getting to the Void Ray so they can pick off a structure or two, but at the end, it doesn't really matter here. The amount of, look at the supply. NaNiwa invested in a very, very one-way strategy. There's no coming back from a strategy like this.
Well, he's got more Void Rays on the way, but even LucifroN now has spotted the fact that his opponent doesn't have any extra gateways, any Nexus, any even Warp Gate tech to speak of. So LucifroN knows exactly what he's playing against, and I think he'll just play it outright with these medevacs on the way.
NaNiwa increases probe count up to 1 base saturation. He throws down extra gateways, and he's just going to try and attack. He's kind of building up an army. I guess one way or the other, he needs to have an army. If he's going to try and take an expansion, what does he have? Forward Void Rays against at the moment? 24 Marines, guys. 24 Marines with +1 attack and +1 armor, and now 2 medivacs to heal them, to hug them, to caress them.
And the funny thing is that even, charges up and tries to push that away, but armor on those Marines is more effective against Void Rays than almost any other unit in the Protoss arsenal, because the Void Rays attack at like a 0.6 attack speed, and that's actually negating quite a lot of the damage there from those Void Rays. So, I mean, LucifroN's got all the tools available to him to just power over this game.
NaNiwa has 2 sentries on his ramp, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to just walk up that ramp. And if he tries to pick up his units in the medivacs, the Void Rays can pick off the medivacs. If LucifroN walks into a very simple trap like that, then obviously he's going to lose quite a lot of his supply here. But is he going to make that kind of critical mistake? Because that's the only way that NaNiwa can really get back into this game, is if LucifroN drops the ball or disconnects.
Well, I kind of like what he's also doing to get the Phoenix out, or at least try and get those out. It would be very, very useful against medevacs if they were able to connect. Nice force field, actually. Does force the pickup and the retreat out there. LucifroN playing this a little bit safer. And, 2 more medevacs moving on in there and get completely obliterated so quickly. He has to be careful with those.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of sentries went down there, but remember NaNiwa was working off 1 base. The mineral fields inside his main base are running out. I mean, they still have 600-700 minerals each, but it's not getting any larger here, is it? Still, 1-1 on these units makes a big, big difference. And now the armory coming in, we're going to have +2 attack, get immediately researched. 1 Void Ray. Just get sniped off. Yeah,
forcing out stims of this army isn't actually too bad there for NaNiwa, because there's only 2 medevacs and he can't quite easily heal up this army so quickly. But still, the fact that he has this knocking on his doorstep without a natural down for NaNiwa, the income right now for LucifroN is fantastic.
It's incredible. I mean, look at that income. It's double his opponent. And as he takes the gas on the natural, that will double as well. Very clearly, having 1 base over 2 means double. As the Marines micro back, just stutter-stepping their way to victory, picking off 1 unit at a time here. NaNiwa doing everything he can to try and find a way back into this game, but LucifroN maintaining that double supply count with a 3rd command center on the way as well.
And the Phoenix is going to continue to chase these medevacs. He has to be careful, though. Those Stalkers coming in from the other side here, picking off 1 of them and trying to get the 2nd as well for the cost of just 1 Stalker. Great trade by NaNiwa.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to lose. Okay, now it's not a good trade because he lost everything. And now more Marines come in, and NaNiwa's like, oh, God, I don't have anything.
There you go. GG for game number 1. LucifroN will take it. And, well, that was a pretty nice hold there, actually, by LucifroN.
A fast and furious start to this Group F here between these 2 players. And, well, we'll see what's going to happen and continue for the rest of the series. But LucifroN is the one that takes up map number 1. I think if we look at the group as a whole, including Uza and Bly, LucifroN is the clear favorite to take a first-place spot here.
Yeah.
So even if NaNiwa was to drop down here, for some, that's expected. It's really going to come down to NaNiwa bringing performances on other results. But on the flip side of things, if he's able to beat LucifroN, it dramatically increases NaNiwa's chance to advance from this group.
And definitely. NaNiwa finds a lot more strength in his PVZ as opposed to his PVT. But to reinforce the point you raised about LucifroN being a clear favorite here, if he wins this, and, well, I mean, he goes on to play a Zerg anyway, right?
Yeah.
Both of the Zerg players do have quite a hard time against Terran as of late. So LucifroN, he's in prime position right now to power on forwards in the round of 32. But he still has NaNiwa to contend with.
I feel like LucifroN versus NaNiwa in this position is like LucifroN kicking NaNiwa down to the dogs at the bottom that can eat him alive, right? Because NaNiwa's been known to lose games against lesser-known Zerg players. For example, Tefl, who now actually is in the round of 16, on his way to qualification, was able to beat NaNiwa, who he would look down upon, being he's not on my level as a player. He lost versus Vortex, Tier Low, and a couple of other Zerg players at tournaments. He, didn't have the best time against Zerg. And that's the way I look at it, at least. LucifroN kicking him down to 2 Zerg players. Yeah. He has to play one of them. But it's about this next second map, Belshear Vestige.
Belshear Vestige here. Will we see NaNiwa try and go for something aggressive again? Didn't quite work out in the end. There were little points and rooms where it maybe could have worked out in that game, but LucifroN did control it very, very nicely regardless. Countdown's begun for game number 2 here, guys. Belshear Vestige, what are you expecting, Apollo?
I think NaNiwa may try to attempt a normal game here, but if we look back to how MVP Duck played, it was very similar how he said, this is how I'm going to approach playing the game. NaNiwa may take a similar approach, saying, you know what, I probably can't beat you in a very long straight-up game, but maybe I can try something else to get a bit of an easier edge, an easier way to victory here. Well, let's find out as map 2 is ready.
All right, well, we'll see going into this game as we have spawning up to the top left-hand corner once again. Currently 1 game down. He is Alliance NaNiwa. And spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner as our red Terran. Very apt color indeed for him. He is Mao's LucifroN.
LucifroN. I've said for a couple of times in a row, everybody's expecting LucifroN very soon to pick up a big win. It's on the cards. How can it not be? How can anybody say in 2013 LucifroN can't win a tournament? He hasn't done that yet, but definitely is on the cards. This guy is performing at his peak, I'd like to say now, going full-time at the start of this year to focus only on StarCraft 2, and it's showing in his results with, double round of 8 finishes in last season's WCS, where he was actually expected to go much, much further. Challenged Stefano and MVP to the title of that tournament. And then, of course, a round of 8 at DreamHack Summer, too. 2 really, really high finishes. And funnily enough, in the string of his results, he got a round of 64 at DreamHack Stockholm, but he only got round of 64 because in the second stage of group stage, the round of 64, 3-way tie, coin flip.
3-way tie. I think it was 3 times. Was it?
No. Yes, it was. Yeah, something along those lines.
So it got to the point where they had to coin flip it.
Right, and that's a terrible position to be in, right? I mean, win 2 games, lose 1 in a round-robin group's a terrible, terrible place to be in. Unfortunately, he was victim there, which kind of brought down his results a little bit. But overall, we know LucifroN's capable of anything. Oh
yeah, there was no doubt in my mind, at least as a spectator of that tournament, that he probably would have gone a little bit further had he actually attained that spot in the next round past the coin flip. But anyway, NaNiwa comes in, has a little look around, he sees the gas. It wasn't as early a gas as previous, was it, though? I don't think so.
It was about the same, wasn't it? A 12 gas coming in?
He's already got 75 gas, so... Or he's already mined 75 gas, so yeah, it seems so.
Looking over at NaNiwa, though, because NaNiwa's the real one to focus on. How is he going to be able to bring down LucifroN? And he is going to take a second gas, but with a second gas taken after the Cybernetics core, and it wasn't a fast second gas either, it was a little bit delayed. He got the Zealot first and whatnot. That kind of increases his mineral count so that he's able to throw down one of 2 different things here. Extra gateways usually is going to be the case because he doesn't have that high of a gas count. Or, well, actually, how much gas has he got now? 72.
Yeah.
I wonder, because right now he needs to build a store core or a mothership core, right? So he's going to pull his gas down again. But one thing which we could see, because it's not a high gas build, is a proxy robotics facility. It's only 100 gas to build that, compared to investing in a Stargate and whatnot. Immortals are only 100 gas as well.
Do you mean to just go for a straight-up bust at the front against bunkers, things like that?
Absolutely.
Well, could work out, and, well, well called, sir, well called. That Robo is now on the way here, and NaNiwa has all the tools in place to try and go for something like that. Now, how is LucifroN preparing? He's got a second command center going down.
Yeah.
Ideally, I guess he needs those 2 barracks going down pretty quick.
I mean, at this point, if I'm LucifroN, I'm like, all right, well, you know, the likelihood of him doing something along these lines is kind of high.
Yeah.
So he's going to check around in all locations, but does he check in the bottom left? It's kind of an unusual position to be in. For now, he's actually going to poke back into the main base. He's going to spot the natural and be like, all right, there is no Nexus. This is late. You definitely should have had a Nexus down by now. So all of a sudden, alarm bells are ringing. He's already got a bunker in the front wall, expecting something along those lines. And now he's 100% clarified that something is coming, and it should be an Immortal made from this proxy robotics facility. And it's just going to be very simple. It's going to be a bust, and it's going to work or it's not going to.
And LucifroN continues to try and poke around at the front there just to fully double-check that there is nothing going on there. First Immortal in production now, as well as those 2 barracks going down for LucifroN, just to crank out the bio that he really needs, actually, to hold this off. There's a lot of firepower behind these Immortal busts, and it's a tough position to be in for a Terran, because if you start repairing buildings, then the big chunks of damage that come in from Immortals, if he gets 2 as well, are quite devastating.
Yeah, I mean, the Immortal's going to do a lot of damage, but ideally, LucifroN needs to know, is it a Void Ray all in? Is it an Oracle all in? Is it an Immortal? Oh, it's an Immortal all in, Kalaris. Okay, perfect. And now he knows that all he has to do is add on 2 bunkers, or you can even add a 3rd. There's no reason not to, because what is an Immortal bust? It's a front wall smackdown. And if that wall is extended by multiple bunkers, look at him.
Yeah.
He knows. He just has to defend the front. There's no warp prism, or there could be maybe. That's something to keep in mind just in case. But there's no Stargate. There's no blink play. It's just a front wall attack. If the wall's defended, how does he lose?
Yeah,
that's his mentality.
And, you know, with that second command center down, he knows that he's in the economical advantage as well, as long as he just holds. So everything right now for LucifroN is fitting together, the pieces of the puzzle going down, and he sees all of those bunkers. He knows it's there, but he has to go, I feel. He just has to.
Of course, he's going to use the Hallucinated Phoenix to try to get some vision, and he's trying to bring these down. If I'm LucifroN, I'm probably building a couple of excess supply depots, because these ones at the front will probably go down quite fast. But Marauders are on the way. Stim is on the way. There's a factory on the way, and if I had a factory, again, Starport is great. He's got to be careful not to lose these Marines, get force fielded out there, but I would love a Winter Mine again, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Right in the middle of these bunkers, any melee units get close, the Zealots get destroyed.
Yeah, and he can't really go too far forwards with his Observer as well, because it would end up getting picked off. Yes, he could probably see just at the very edge if there were one there, but right now, I mean, he actually gets to one of the Marauders in there as well. And with that extra range that they do have in those bunkers, very, very annoying position right now for NaNiwa.
And the Immortal's already down, man. Look at it.
Yeah.
Both shields are down. The Immortals are very low in health at this point, and Stim and Combat Shields. The longer this game goes on, the worse it gets for NaNiwa. It's that simple.
Oh, yeah.
Because, again, +1 armor is on the way, that, you know, to combine with the +1 attack. I think LucifroN just scanned the natural. He did. So he just scanned the natural of his opponent to see if there was an expansion or not. Realizing there wasn't, he knows that all he needs to do is defend.
Yeah, just tries to plow on up here with quite a few Zealots that are actually tanking, along with the Guardian Shield soaking up a lot of the damage there as well. But in the end, I mean, how much of this can he actually take?
It's good force fields, man. He's broken through a couple of bunkers, and units got caught inside as well. All the SCVs are off the line.
Yeah, trying to pull those up. He actually has a lot of them. The Immortal will end up going down, though, in the end as well. And now he is only left with gateway units. There's quite a bit of firepower, and he's circumvented that last remaining bunker going down. So there's a position here where NaNiwa could do some damage, and he's up in terms of supply.
Oh, he is up in terms of supply. Great mineral trick to get us around on a lot of these units. Then 3 Marauders are going to just churn away. But there are 3 more Stalkers coming in here.
Wow.
Is NaNiwa going to be able to do this? And Zealots are really getting down onto these SCVs.
Yeah, those Marauders. There's only 3 Marauders and 2 Marines actually left here, along with those extra Stalkers that are coming up. He's killed so many workers. 30 workers have gone down. He's down to 3. How has NaNiwa been able to break 5 bunkers worth of defense? There you go. GG ties the series up 1-1. Fantastic.
Force fields are able to smack their way through. I think what happened a lot of the time there is because the force fields are so good, is that they didn't allow SCVs to repair, but also didn't allow units to escape. Every time a bunker got burst, so did the units inside. Very, very fast with their deaths there. They did die a nice and easy death. But NaNiwa was able to do that. He was able to break the front wall. I don't know if skipping mines was maybe something, or trying to get tanks out. You know, all these different types of defense. He tried to get up to medivacs, never quite got there.
No.
NaNiwa, though, very smartly, if you notice, went before stim, before combat shields, before it was too late. He hit at a very, very crisp time there.
Yeah, and he actually had a very impressive army. Now, if you look back at how much he actually had there, across from just the one base worth of economy, it was pretty strong. And as you said, the force field's very, very nice indeed. So now, going into game number 3, does NaNiwa go for the aggression again? I think he probably ends up doing so.
I mean, if he's done it in game 1 and game 2, what's stopping him in game 3 is the way to look at it. So we'll have to see. I'm not sure what the map is going to be. And that can, I mean, I'm trying to look to see where it is. Second map is Belshire. And I'm not sure what the last map is. It's, I don't know.
Newkirk, Belshire, Whirlwind. So I guess the third map's Whirlwind.
Yes, Whirlwind. So being on Whirlwind, it's a more difficult of a map to pull off an all-in, per se. It's a much larger map. It's going to have to be proxied again if it's a Stargate. But it's also easier to scout the locations. As a Terran player, there's 2 big locations you need to scout. Outside your main base, clearly, outside your natural, clearly. Up on the high grounds are the 2 bases that are elevated, the 3rd and 4th base you'd usually take. So, LucifroN, I believe that even though this isn't a map favored towards Reaper expands, would go for a Reaper again. Maybe more than a single one. Maybe he'll throw down double barracks and have 5 Reapers around. And that does, of course, granted, pull back his stim and combat shields, but so is going for a reactor and building Marine straight away.
LucifroN's shown 2 barracks play in other matchups, so that certainly could be a possibility. But when you say that it does delay a few other things, I guess if NaNiwa were to go for a Stargate opener, it would delay, as you said, those Marine production, and leaving yourself that exposed with only Reapers over the other side of the map would be really tough. Yeah,
it's a decision that NaNiwa now has to choose, and you know, what type of all-in is he going to use here? Is he going to try and play a straight-up game? Does he try something like an Immortal push after expanding? Does he capitalize on the fact now that LucifroN may play a bit more defensive in the early stages, that NaNiwa can take a faster expansion and not be punished for that? You know, it's not going to affect him to be able to take a faster neck. There's nothing stopping him from doing that to come with a later, stronger all-in if LucifroN slows himself down in the early stages to prepare defense. So, you know, we'll see how this map's going to play out. It is one of the bigger ones, but most importantly, it's 1-1 between LucifroN and NaNiwa going into the 3rd game now. The winner of this will go to the winner's match of Group F.
After seeing game number 1, I wasn't expecting it, but now into game number 3, as we have spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner as our red Terran once again. He is Mao's LucifroN. And spawning down to the bottom right, left even, I should say, as our blue Protoss, we have Alliance NaNiwa. All right. So, NaNiwa on Whirlwind. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a proxy Stargate. I think a proxy Stargate with Oracle would be on the cards, but is it too predictable?
I'm lost in my own thoughts, really am, on what he's going to do or try to attempt. I'm more interested in, is LucifroN going to open his defense more so in the early stages? Does he, again, choose a Reaper over non-Reaper?
Well, I would... If you look at it from a Terran's point of view and look at back at game number 1 and 2, I think a Reaper opening to get that intel a little bit quicker and try and move around the map at a very high pace early on, I think that's a pretty wise option.
Well, already we see LucifroN trying to wall off here, and there is the 12 gas too, so it makes perfect sense the way that he's thinking about what can potentially come here. So he will be aiming towards the Reaper once again. Is it going to be multiple Reapers this time? Whirlwind's a big map. Doesn't exactly know his opponent spawned at this point. What happens if the Reaper goes the long way around? What happens if it goes north first? What happens if Stalkers and a Mothership Core are out already to prevent him from scouting? There's a lot of different things now that LucifroN needs to worry about. We've seen victims of these type of plays in previous days. If we just remind ourselves to go back to Group D, Duck was able to beat out Daishi. He was then able to beat out Damaga as well with super aggressive Protoss play. Is LucifroN going to be another victim of that?
We'll see, man. I mean, he was certainly a victim of that game number 2. Game number 3 could easily tell the same tale as LucifroN now moving out into the middle of the map, scouting in the wrong direction, counterclockwise.
And it is 2 Reapers. So going over to 2 Reapers here, does he not add on the reactor and get a faster factory for faster winner mine tech? There's multiple options for LucifroN to start to think about. Does he just throw down the reactor next and say, I'll slow my reactor down to make sure I know what exactly you're doing? But NaNiwa, if we look at what he's doing, it seems very normal. He hasn't taken a gas. It's just going to be an expansion play. And as mentioned, that gives him a slight edge. Imagine if it was Command Center first or Barracks Command Center, if these Reapers weren't made. 2 Reapers were made over 1, the normal. And with the Mothership Core almost out here, they shouldn't get any probe kills apart from the scouting one, which can be a bit of a hindrance for NaNiwa not knowing what's going on. But it's not for him. It doesn't matter for him what LucifroN's doing, more importantly.
Yeah, it was a funny little route he was taking with that probe, making it look like he maybe wanted to throw something down. But, I mean, he's seen the natural. He's seen everything he needs to see to kind of dispel that kind of occurrence. And now with LucifroN getting up his command center, getting that engineering bay, I'm really quite a fan of LucifroN's earlier engineering base to really crank out those upgrades very quickly.
Yeah, get +1 attack really, really fast here and then straight to +1 armor. It allows you at the 10-minute mark, the usual time when a Terran player moves out. If we look back to the majority of Terran play throughout StarCraft 2, the 10-minute push with a couple of medivacs and +1 attack, well, if you get the engineering this early, you get +1 attack and +1 armor.
Yep.
We do have a probe sneaking out, though. Sneaking out, I say.
Ooh.
As it's trying to avoid the Reaper. As the Mothership Core chases it back. Is it... What's this probe trying to do?
I don't know.
Imagine...
He's got so much money.
He's got a lot of money. He's throwing down 4 gateways. 3 gateways behind. It's going to be a 4 gateway attack here. NaNiwa does not know where his opponent spawned. Is he going to guess because the Reaper came early? Is he going to... I guess he's bottom right. It's a calculated risk.
Yeah.
It's very small details that can make you think that your opponent's down there.
Well, we'll see how this is going to work on out. LucifroN actually does have an extra 2 barracks going down behind this. So very, very standard build here from LucifroN, adding on that second fat gas as well so that he can get that going. And the probe did just spot some Marines, so he now knows where he is.
The Marines also spotted the probe. You can't not see the probe there. So he's like, well, that snuck out, didn't it? And immediately throws down a bunker. But LucifroN, I wonder if he'll scan. He hasn't scouted the main base at all. And NaNiwa's hidden his 3 gateways to prevent a scan from spotting this here.
Exactly.
LucifroN doesn't have the energy to scan, but he does have +1. He doesn't have stim. NaNiwa's going to try and break this down. He's cut his probe production. Those first units are getting warped in. The Reaper still hasn't spotted anything here.
Exactly, and it's a smart way to play here for NaNiwa because what's the likelihood of this Reaper getting in? The answer is not very much as it goes down.
Another turret on the natural for LucifroN. He's got no idea. He's sending out. Oh, he's sending out an SCV. Oh, he just got on the high ground. Oh, he goes across the map here to the middle. If he'd gone up to the right or to the left, he would have seen this. Oh. And now he has no SCVs. A scan goes down. I hear it in the middle.
Yeah.
And he sees nothing. Absolutely nothing. Has no idea what's coming still. And here comes NaNiwa. He's going to break the bunker.
Wow, there's actually no SCVs there to repair. He's trying to pull them off to try and get it going. But NaNiwa is just going to completely bypass that initial defense. And, well, actually, he's actually going to stick around now. I thought he was going to run completely past it, but he's picking off a lot of Marines regardless. There's only 5 actually left alive. The Mothership Core does go down as well, but there's a lot of Zealots to actually tank some damage there. He's actually focusing down a few of those Stalkers, but more Zealots do end up reinforcing. It's surrounded. There's not very much room for those SCVs to continue repairing, and it's going to go. Well, he's going to push on forwards once again here with even more Marines dying off. He does have 2 Marauders trying to keep those alive, but...
5 Zealots, man. They're going to chase those Marauders down, and 4 more Stalkers get warped in. A Widowmine and Bunkers coming in. Is NaNiwa going to pick up the win here? Is he going to make his trip much, much easier in the round of 32 to be able to go to the winners match so early? The Zealots are getting right in there dirty. 4 Stalkers need to come together as one. Yeah,
they do. He needs to consolidate all of these forces, get them in a position to kill off even more SCVs, but he's already killed off 22. LucifroN now very, very far down in terms of supply. NaNiwa making the aggression work, killing off Marauder after Marauder. GG. Wow.
Wow-wee, wow-wee, wowzers, wow. Wow. NaNiwa has just beaten LucifroN 2 games to 1 here. Moving on to the winners match. And as mentioned earlier, LucifroN, after winning game 1, was like, all right, I'm going to push you down to the losers match, and you can fight down there with the Zerg players. Well, now, all of a sudden, it's like that scene out of 300 gets reversed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And now NaNiwa has to win in the winners match, pushing LucifroN down to the losers match. What a start to Group F here.
I was not expecting that, I'll be slightly honest with you. That was LucifroN's series to pretty much win with past results that have occurred. But LucifroN getting caught there. and not getting the proper intel he needed in game number 3. What a fantastic little performance there by NaNiwa.
Getting caught, getting stung. And unfortunately, that's what's happened to LucifroN here as NaNiwa moves on to the winners match. We're going to go to a quick commercial, and when we come back, we'll be having Bly versus Uza.